Hometown by Lu Xun, translated and read by Peter Rambo. I braced the freezing cold to return to the hometown I'd been separated from by 20 years and 600 miles. It was the deep of winter, and as I approached, clouds gathered above. An icy wind whistled through the boat's cabin. I peered into the distance through an opening in the canopy. Under the pale yellow sky, I began to make out several desolate villages. There were no signs of life. I felt an uncontrollable sadness rising in my chest. Was this really the place I thought about for 20 years? This was not how I remembered my hometown. I thought it was much nicer than this, but when I tried to think on what was beautiful or best about it, no images or words came to me. Perhaps it had always been like this. Perhaps the place hadn't changed, but it was my state of mind that had. And because I was returning feeling solemn, a solemnity had fallen over it. It was to be the last time I would return. The family had already sold the house to some people of another name. The deadline for selling the property was this month, and so I was rushed to say goodbye to this once familiar village. I was moving to the strange new place where I now earn my living. Early the next morning, I arrived outside the door of my old house. The withered grass on the tiled roof was a clear sign that it was time for it to change hands. Almost all of my relatives had already moved out. It was very quiet. As I stood outside my old room, my mother came out to welcome me. Immediately after that, my 8-year-old nephew, Hong, ran over. My mother was very happy, but I could tell she was trying to conceal some bleak feelings. She told me to make myself comfortable and drink some tea, but she didn't mention anything about the move. Hong had never seen me before. He just stood a little way back from me, watching. Eventually, we came round to the subject of moving. I said I'd already rented us a new place and bought some furniture, but we still needed a bit more money, so we'd have to sell our utensils and some other things around the house. Mother said that was fine. She'd already packed her bags. She'd sold some of our furniture, but hadn't received the money for it yet. Rest a couple of days, my mother said. Say a proper goodbye to our home, then we'll go. Okay. Oh, and Brutu, every time he comes here, he asks about you. He really wants to see you. I told him you'd be here. He said he might come by. Instantly, a wonderful image exploded in my mind. A golden moon hung in a perfect azure sky. Below it stretched an endless beach of emerald green watermelons. Among them stood a 12-year-old boy. He wore a silver ring around his neck and clutched a steel pitchfork. He lunges at the mythical creature Jab, but the creature swiftly turns and runs. That boy was Run too. I must have only been 10 when I knew him. Hadn't seen him for 30 years. My father was alive then, and our family was quite wealthy. I was still something of a young gentleman. That year it was our family's term to perform a ceremony that only came around every 30 years or so. It was sacrificial and very solemn. In the first month of the new year, we had many beautiful icons and ornaments put out on the altar. We had visitors all the time, so we needed someone to keep an eye on them. Our family only had one employee who would work for a month. There were 3 kinds usually. One that worked all year round, those with their own land who would do some day work, and those who came during the festivals or when rent was needed. We called these ones the monthers. He was too busy, but he said his son, Runtu, could come and watch the ornaments for us. My father agreed. I was very excited as I'd already heard of Runtu and knew he was about my age. He was born in the month called Run and had been lacking in the earth element Tu, so that was his name, Runtu. He knew about traps and could catch birds. Because of this, I looked forward to that new year every day. When it finally came, so would Runtu. It seemed to take forever. Then one day, my mother told me Runtu had arrived. I ran out as fast as I could to see him. He was standing in the kitchen. He had a round and purple face and wore a small felt hat. He had a shining silver ring around his neck. His father must have loved him very much, for the ring symbolized that he'd made a deal with the Buddha. It meant that he would do something in exchange for protecting his life. Runtu was shy with everyone except me. When there was no one around, we would talk constantly. Very soon, we got to know each other well. I can't remember what we talked about exactly, but I know Runtu was very excited. He'd never been to the city before and liked talking about all the new things he'd seen here. The next day, I asked him about catching birds. We can't, he said. It has to be just after it snows. On the beach, we wait until it snows, then clear out a space. You prop up a bamboo basket on a short stick and sprinkle some grain underneath. When the bird goes in to eat it, you pull back the string and they get caught underneath. I've caught all kinds, chickens, pheasants, bluebacks. I couldn't wait for it to snow. It's too cold now, Runtu said, but you should come to our home in summer. Every day we can go down to the seashore and collect shells. We have so many different ones, red ones, green ones, some that scare away ghosts, even starfish. In the evening, my father and I guard the watermelons. You could come too. Guard from thieves? I asked. No, if someone thirsty passes by and takes one, we don't consider that stealing. We have to watch out for badgers, hedgehogs, and the jat. When the moon is low, you hear a crunching sound. That's the jat biting into a watermelon. You grab your pitchfork and slowly creep over. I didn't know what a jat was then. I still don't. I thought perhaps it would be like a small, fierce dog. Does it bite people? I asked. Well, you've got your pitchfork, right? Runtu said. You watch the jat, creep over, and lunge at it. They're very nimble creatures, though. They'll suddenly twist their bodies and slip right through your legs. Their coats are as slippery as oil. I didn't know the world could have had so many new things. The seashore filled with colourful shells. The danger of guarding a watermelon patch. I'd only ever brought fruit from a store. Where we live, Runtu said. At the beach, when the tide comes in, all these fish start jumping. Some of them have 2 legs, just like a frog. Nah, the inexhaustible wonder of Runtu's stories. He knew so much my friends and I didn't. When Runtu was down at the beach, we were entrapped between the high walls of our courtyard home and the empty space that lay between. But the month had to end, and Runtu had to go home. I cried so much. Runtu hid in the kitchen crying too. Eventually his father found him and took him home. After that, he sent me colourful shells and some beautiful bird tails. I sent him a few gifts too, but we never saw each other again. As my mother spoke, those memories washed over me. It was like being struck by lightning. All the poverty of my hometown was cast away, and for an instant its beauty returned before me. That's wonderful, I said. How is he? Runtu, he isn't doing too well. As mother spoke, she gazed outside. Those people are back. They said they were looking at buying furniture, but as soon as they get a chance, they steal something. I've got to go out and watch them. Mother stood up and left. I heard a few women talking outside. I asked Hong to come in and made some casual conversation with him. I asked him if he'd learned to write and if he was looking forward to our trip. Will we take a train? He asked. Yes, that's right. What about a boat? First we'll take a boat. Aha, so this is what he looks like. His beard is so long. A piercing voice cut through the air. Startled, I looked up and saw a woman of about 50. She had protruding cheekbones and thin lips. She was wearing trousers and stood facing me on 2 very skinny, compass-like legs. I stood there, dazed. You don't recognize me, eh? I held you when you were young. I was at even more of a loss. Luckily, my mother came in. She stood next to me. He hasn't been back for many years, she said. He must have forgotten. This is Zhang, she said to me. She used to live across from us. She had a tofu store. Ah, I remembered. Zhang would sit all day in that shop. People used to say she was a beauty, but now her makeup was gone, her cheekbones were flat, and her lips were thin. I never noticed her delicate legs, as she'd been sat down all day. And people used to say it was because of her the store did so well. I'd been too young to notice something like that. I'd forgotten all about her. I could tell this annoyed her. It was like she'd met someone from France who didn't know Napoleon or an American who hadn't heard of Washington. She smiled at me coldly. Forgotten, eh? I guess the scholar is too far above us all now. What do you mean? I said uneasily, standing up. Look, Lou, you're rich. You don't need to move all this heavy furniture. Let me take it. Why don't you let the poorer families have it? I'm not rich. I had to come back to sell this furniture. Ha, sure. You got 3 concubines now. Every time you go out, 8 people carry you on a sedan chair. Not rich. You're not fooling me. I didn't know what to say. I just stood there silently. This is how it goes. The richer you are, the less you give away. The less you give away, the richer you are. Won't let a single thing go. She kept muttering angrily. As she stormed out, she grabbed a pair of my mother's gloves and stuffed them in her waistband. After she left, some relatives came to visit. I entertained them as politely as I could, while also finding time to begin packing. Carried on like this for 3 days. One afternoon, the weather was especially cold. I was eating lunch and drinking tea when I heard someone come in. I turned to look. Feeling nervous, I went to greet them. It was Runtu. I knew it was him, but he was nothing like I remembered. He was much taller and his face was haggard, pale, and covered in deep wrinkles. His eyes were bordered with red, just like his father's had been. I knew this happened to farmers who worked by the ocean. He was wearing a coat so thin he was shivering. The felt hat on his head was torn. He was holding a pipe. His hands were not fine and nimble like I remembered. They were coarse and rough like pine bark. I was so excited I didn't know where to begin. Ah, Runtu, brother, you're here. There was so much I wanted to say, but it was all blocked up. Bird tails, jumping fish, seashells, the jam. My thoughts were too chaotic. I couldn't get anything out. As he stood there, he seemed pleased, but also somber. He was silent, then eventually assumed a respectful pose. Master, he said very clearly. A horrible chill passed through me. I realized then with a great sadness that a wall had been built between us. I didn't know what to say. He turned his head. Shui, bow to your master. A young child crept out from behind his back. He looked just like a young Runtu, but a little paler, thinner, and without a silver ring round his neck. He's my 5th. Hasn't seen much of the world, a little shy. Mother and Hong came in. They must have heard us talking. I was really happy to get your letter to know that Master was coming back, Runtu said to Mother. Why are you being so formal? She asked. Didn't you used to call each other brother? You can just call him Brother Lu, like you used to. Oh, no, missus, you really are too. What kind of manners would that be? We were only children then, we didn't understand these things. Runtu told Shui to introduce himself, but he was very shy. He was hiding behind his back as though he was stuck to it. Oh, so this is Shui, Mother said. You're 5th? We're all strangers to him. It's no wonder he's so shy. Why don't he and Hong go and play together? When Hong heard this, he rushed over to Shui. The two seemed very at ease with each other and went out right away. Mother asked Runtu to sip. He hesitated for a while, but eventually he did. He leant his pipe on the table and passed me a paper package. "This winter has been hard," he said, "but I bought you some green beans, dried and prepared them myself. Please accept them, master." I asked him how things were. He just shook his head. It's difficult. All 6 of the children work, but it's never enough to eat, and with the war, we don't have enough money. Things are uncertain. There's so much tax on what we sell will make a loss, but if we don't sell it, it just rots in the field." He shook his head again. His face was etched with wrinkles. He looked like he could have been cut from stone. While things were bleak, he didn't mention them anymore. He lifted up his pipe and began to smoke silently. Mother spoke with him for a while. When she heard Runtu hadn't eaten lunch, she told him to have some fried rice in the kitchen. After he left, she told me about his problems. Children, famine, tax, soldiers, criminals, and government officials. All of it had eaten away at him until all that was left was the wooden figure that I'd seen. Mother said we should give him the things we couldn't take with us. We told him he could have whatever he wanted. That afternoon, he picked out a few things: 2 tables, 4 chairs, an incense stick, candles, and some scales. He also took some ash from the grass we'd burned. The ashes could be used to help fertilize some of the barren land near the beach. He would wait until we left and then come back for it with his boat. That night we talked some more, but never really got into anything important. And the next day he and Shui left. After another 9 days, it was time for us to leave. Runtu came back early that morning. He didn't have Shui with him, but a 5-year-old girl. We were busy all day and didn't have time to talk. Some gave us gifts, some said goodbye, some did both. And by the time for our departure in the evening, the house had been cleared of everything. As our boat headed onwards, the green mountains on the riverbanks merged into the yellowing dusk and made a vague backdrop behind us. Hong and I leant on the window, gazing at the fading scenery. When Hong said suddenly, "Uncle, when will we come back?" "Come back? We haven't even left yet, and you're asking about coming back?" But Shui asked me to come and play with him again. He stared outwards pensively through his black eyes. My mother and I were feeling a little dejected too. Thinking of Runtu, she told me that every day since we started packing, the tofu shop girl Jang had come around. She'd found some incense sticks under a pile of ash. She said Runtu had buried them there, obviously planning to take them after we'd gone. She thought she deserved a reward for this discovery and took a dog catcher, which is kind of a wooden trap baited with food. Chickens could fit their necks in, but if a dog tried, it would get stuck. She'd taken it and run off as fast as her tiny legs could carry her. My old house fell away into the distance, then my hometown and the mountains beyond, but I didn't feel nostalgic. I felt that some high, impenetrable walls now separated me from everyone. That once clear image of a young hero stood amidst a field of watermelons was fading, and I felt very sad. Mother and Hong were sleeping. I laid back and listened to the sounds of the water rushing by below us, and I knew I was taking my own road. Runtu and I had separate lives now. I hoped this generation would not be like mine, and thought warmly on how Hong had thought of Shui as his friend. I wouldn't want them to have the muddled, nomadic life I'd lived, but neither could I wish him the hard monotony of Runtu. Certainly not the reckless, difficult life of so many others. They had a new life, a fresh start, a future. As I thought of hope, a strange fear suddenly gripped me. When Runtu had asked for those incense sticks, inside I'd laughed at him. He had made sure not to forget those superstitious objects, but when I thought of hope, did I not too hold my own imagined symbols? That was his way of holding to hope. Mine was far more distant and abstract. As my thoughts turned further inward, I saw a golden moon hanging in a perfect azure sky. Below it stretched green fields by the sea. And I realized then that hope was not something anyone had the right to define. It was a road made by people coming together and making one, where there had not been one there before.